The Offensive Lineman Summit hosted by Eagles tackle Pave the Lane was over the weekend, but why was the All-Pro leaking secrets about Micah Parsons' technique to the rest of the league? Plus, Richard Sherman admitted DeVonta Smith made him retire. That's just the beginning though, since new offensive coordinator Brian Johnson's play calling will be dialing up the wideout even more. And did O-line coach Jeff Stoutland just hint at the right guard favorite? But first, let's run it. What's up guys? For those that are new to the channel, I'm Josh and I cover the birds. Let's start with a happy birthday to our beloved Eagles who turned 90 over the weekend, which had everyone talking about some of the most memorable moments in Philly's history, like the legendary miracle in the Meadowlands after trailing 24-3 at halftime, where the birds stormed all the way back to win 38-31 thanks to Deshaun Jackson's insanely clutch punt return. Or if you were around back then, or maybe you've seen highlights, Chuck Bednarik's leveling of Frank Gifford, which knocked him unconscious. Alright, there's also been some more recent big hits which most of us remember, like B-Doc leveling Algie Crumpler and Malcolm Jenkins absolutely destroying Brandon Cooks in the Super Bowl. Speaking of that game, this is probably obvious, but does anyone have a favorite memory different than the iconic Philly special and Brandon Graham's strip sack to clinch a victory over Tom Brady and the Patriots? There's tons of moments I'm leaving out, so go ahead, drop one of your favorites in the comments, and then go enjoy a Fat Kelsey. Alright, sorry if you don't have a clue of what I'm talking about. Jason Kelce now has his own signature donut called the Fat Kelsey, featuring a peanut butter glaze, bacon, chocolate, and honey drizzle. It took me a while to get behind the whole sweet and salty blend, but I think they look pretty good. So go check them out if you're in Seattle, Ocean City, or North Wildwood, since they're at the Fractured Prune locations and all proceeds benefit Philly Public Schools. And let me know how they taste. While we're talking about offensive linemen, Lane Johnson hosted the 6th annual Offensive Lineman Mastermind Summit in Dallas over the weekend, which if you weren't aware, the event started up to combat Von Miller's pass rush summit, since Pave the Lane said, "I feel like there's not a whole lot of education on how the O-line is played. Really, I just want to get the guys together and kind of get a voice behind the O-line position because I feel like there's never been one. It's just always bring your lunch pail and keep your mouth shut," which is pretty cool. And while many linemen spoke and presented, like Chiefs center Creed Humphrey and former All-Pro tackle Andrew Whitworth, it was Lane who shared tips and tricks like his quick get-off and techniques for taking on other D linemen, in particular Micah Parsons, sharing specific techniques and tendencies on what Parsons likes to do. I love it, and the respectable part is that Lane admits greatness recognizes greatness, but it's also funny that the Eagles All-Pro would try to help the rest of the league on how to beat Parsons.
When I specifically asked you not to?
Before you let me hear it in the comments, I realize all these guys are pros and already study film, so it's not like this is a completely new concept or something they're not already doing. Plus, there were other pass rushers they analyzed, but I'm always a fan of giving tips to the rest of the league in a scenario like this. It's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend or something like that. It's safe to say if anyone knows how to block Parsons, or any pass rusher for that matter, it's Pave the Lane. He's obviously one of the best Eagles on the roster, and so is DeVonta Smith, as SI.com's Ed Crack has him fittingly listed as the number 6 best player on the roster, saying since winning the Heisman Trophy in his final season at Alabama and becoming the first receiver to do so since 1991 when Michigan's Desmond Howard did it, Smith has taken the NFL by storm and has unleashed an assault on the Eagles' record books. He broke Deshaun Jackson's record for receiving yards set in 2008 when Smith put up 916 yards and then followed it up with 95 receptions last season, which were the most ever by an Eagles receiver. Although A.J. Brown is widely considered the team's #1 receiver and Brown's 88 catches last year were the 2nd most in team history, Smith shouldn't have to take a back seat to him. And I agree, I think you have 2 wide receiver ones. Plus, let's not forget, A.J. has even admitted how great of a route runner DeVonta is, saying there's aspects of Skinny Batman's game that Swole Batman himself could begin to utilize. He's not the only receiver in awe, as Terrell Owens spoke during the celebrity softball game last month and admitted he's admired Smitty's game for a long time because he's been excelling and is obviously doing really great things in Philly where the expectations are high, but his game speaks for itself, which is no wonder why Bleacher Report named DeVonta as the most promising building block entering the 2023 season for the Birds. Then you add on top of it the fact that DeVonta is soon to be a dad with dad strength and has been working out like a maniac this offseason.
He must work out.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if DeVonta ends up with more yards than AJ this year, but do you agree or disagree? The other crazy story surrounding the third-year wideout is that former All-Pro corner Richard Sherman admitted that Smitty is the reason he retired.
Forget, I was in Tampa, and I had just come back from injury, you know what I mean? Like a calf injury or something, and we had you guys on like a third... No, I had just came to Tampa, so that was my third game, and we had you on a Thursday night, and DeVonta must have ran this comeback. And I had him under control, you know what I mean? I was like, bang, quick jam, like easy, got him under control. He must have stopped, and I tried to stop. And my whole groin said, snap, 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 snap. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then you're trying to guard him. You're like, chase him around. Like, please don't throw him the ball, please. And our coach is looking at me on the sideline like, hey, you want to come out? You want to come out? I'm like, yeah, but y'all, they're in the hurry up. So I'm like bailing out. I was like, at that moment, I was like, yeah, this is probably my last year. I don't got it for these young dudes right now.
That's awesome for Sherman to share and admit something like that, although it's probably not the last career Smitty ends, especially with new offensive coordinator Brian Johnson having big plans for the receiver. And even CBS Sports' Jared Dubin named the OC as the X factor for the Eagles this season, writing in 2021 the Eagles offense took off when then new head coach Nick Sirianni gave up play calling duties to focus more on holistic game management, allowing Shane Steichen to take over. The pivot to a run-heavy attack allowed the Eagles to build an efficient offense which propelled them to the playoffs. Last year, Steichen helped Jalen Hurts evolve as a passer and the offense hit even higher heights. Johnson was the quarterback's coach during that run, and he obviously played a significant role in Hurts' development. Now, though, he's the coordinator and the play caller, and that's a new wrinkle. If he hits the ground running, things will run smoothly. If not, there may be some kinks to work out throughout the season. Sure, there may be a few hiccups and a slight learning curve, but I trust Johnson and think the offense will be perfectly fine. Remember, the OC is a former college quarterback at Utah who graced the NCAA football game cover and has known the Hurts family for years. Plus, Johnson served as the offensive coordinator for the University of Florida, where he helped get Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts to the NFL, which I don't mean to hate on them, but it's just that kind of resume speaks for itself.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
And then, even prior to that, Johnson helped elevate Dak Prescott when he was the quarterback's coach, where Dak earned all SEC honors at Mississippi State. So it's safe to say he won't be out of place. Sure, play calling's a different animal, although Johnson does have previous play calling experience, and it's not like Sirianni won't be involved, with him saying, I'm there with Brian every single day and seeing him work every day, seeing him with the quarterbacks in the game planning meetings and on the practice field. So I thought that was the natural progression for us to go that route and promote him. His relationship with Jalen is phenomenal, and Brian's a sharp dude. I lean on him for so many things, and now he's in charge of running the offense. I've mentioned this before, but I actually think the offense will throw a little more than they did last season. I'm not saying we're abandoning the run or becoming some sort of crazy pass-happy offense, yet knowing defenses are going to try to stop the run and force Jalen to prove he's not a fluke QB, which is ridiculous that he still has to prove it at this point. But that should open up the passing game even more. That's why I think Smitty will have even better numbers this year. How about you guys, though? And where are your confidence levels at for both Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, for that matter? I'd say higher than the Cowboys making the Super Bowl. Okay, yeah, that's not saying much. Although Dak Prescott didn't have much to say either when asked about his favorite Super Bowl memory.
Give me your most fondest Super Bowl memory.
That's tough. I mean, I grew up a Cowboys fan. Obviously, unfortunately, I haven't necessarily seen us play or remember us playing.
I couldn't help it. It's too great not to share. And no wonder Dak can't remember, because this is what brand new televisions, cars, cell phones, and computers looked like in 1996. And that seems like so long ago.
I almost feel sorry for the little fella.
Unfortunately for them, I don't think it's changing anytime soon, but enough of Dallas, let's move on. So we're all aware of the Cam Jurgens-Tyler Steen battle by now. What you may have missed, though, is did O-line coach Jeff Stoutland hint at who he'd like to start at right guard, since he recently shared on the New Heights podcast what he looks for in an offensive lineman.
When we finish watching a film, you close your eyes and you say, what's unusual about this player? If the player's not really an unusual player, I'm done. Move to the next guy.
Yeah.
That guy's got to have something that's wow.
Some juice. Stands out. Yeah.
Like wow. Whether he's a giant and moves around pretty good for a really big giant guy.
Why are you looking at him?
Well, because there's all kinds of unusual.
Yes, right.
There's all types of things that can become, unusual. But we do have a criteria. We have a list of critical factors that are like the Bible. And we go off of that, and I really don't deviate from that, I'll be honest with you. I feel very strong about that.
I don't know. His comment about first looking at size seems to lean toward Tyler Steen, but then both Beef Jerky and Mean Steen have uniqueness in their game that he's talking about towards the end, so it's kind of honestly tough to say. What do you make of Stout's comments? I think I'm still on the side of it's Jurgens' job to lose right now, but Steen will have ample opportunities to win the spot once training camp begins. Only a little over 2 weeks away. This has been the Philly Special.